Wonderful. So thanks to Startup Club for having me here. It has always been pleasure. Um, Many people who know me that my goal is to help India's startup ecosystem. Uh, and my personal goal is to create 3 to 5 unicorns from India in the next 8 odd years um, in the enterprise B2B space. So that is my single handed goal. And that is not to make money. God has given me enough. The goal is to actually put India on the map, put India on the map of the world, that enterprise class B2B businesses with deep tech can be created from India. So that is the goal. This session is very important. I know all of you have other things to do. These are very difficult times. You have a lot of pressure and so on. But I appreciate you taking out time to join this session. My talk will cover some very simple and some difficult suggestions, right? Uh, they will look simple in many cases. They are very hard to implement, very hard to implement. So pay attention to what I'm saying. Don't think that it's so simple. When I make a suggestion, start thinking about how are you going to actually implement it in your business. Don't worry about the English is simple and the suggestion is simple. Try to think how you are going to implement in the business. The moment you start thinking about it, you will see the complexity in doing so simple things in this environment. Um, Again, these suggestions will help you in survival. They can also put you on a new growth path if you take these suggestions well. So with that, let me start the presentation. I will come back after the presentation and answer any questions you have. But let me start the presentation now. So give me a second here. Okay, so here is the 10 commandments that I want to share with you in the current and very difficult times, right? So that is what we will cover. And like I said, I'll answer all your questions that you have at the end. So very quickly, I know Vivek has covered some of my background, but I will say that I have been very, very fortunate to work with some of the best people in the industry. Started my career with Hewlett and Packard and worked with David Packard and Bill Hewlett. Have worked with Michael Dell, have worked with John Chambers, and have worked with Steve Jobs, and have learned a lot from these stalwarts. So I share in my talks and in my mentoring, I share a lot of learnings that I have learned from these phenomenal gentlemen. Vivek talked about it. I have 6 patents, and actually, the moment I became a technical manager, I stopped filing patents. Otherwise, I would have something like 30 patents. On the right-hand side, you see I invented an instrument which was on my own time, and I invented and licensed this to a company in Boston, and that company paid me royalty for 17 years, and that instrument is still very, very, very popular across the world. Vivek mentioned I have contributed to 2 books, and then you can see at the bottom, I was in Who's Who of USA in 2000 when I came back to India. And in 2016, I was given IT Man of the Year award. And the purpose of that was for my use of technology for social change. I'm on the board of Janagraha, where we did 2 programs, iPaidAbribe.com and I Changed My City, which were actually acknowledged worldwide. And because of that, I was honored by this award. So I have had a career, and like Vivek said, I did 3 startups also, one in US, which went through leverage buyout, one in India, US, which was bought by Philips, another one in India and US, which was bought by Oracle. So I have had large companies and a small company background. That is hopefully giving you my credentials on why am I speaking to you and why my words may hold meaning for you. So coming to, these are unprecedented times. That is an understatement, right? Okay. As our Prime Minister said, this is like a world war. I have not seen anything. I've seen a lot of economic downturns, but I've never seen a time like this, which is literally like a world war. and there's no end to it. And also in World War, the decision to end World War is in the hands of some people. Here, it's actually somewhat out of control. So these are very unprecedented times. You need to plan, not panic. What is the difference? A plan makes you do right things in a sane way. A panic makes you do stupid things and can hurt you and your business. So you need to plan, not panic. Panic will not solve any problem. For startup founders, hope is not a strategy. Hoping that things will change, that cannot be strategy. Wait and watch is not going to work. So let's see what happens after this lockdown. Let us see what happens after next lockdown. That is not going to work. You need to actually be acting and make decisions right away with it that affect your life, your business, and everything. So it's very important that we do that. And you can't cut and paste a strategy that has been used before. There's no instruction manual for such a situation. So you need to be creative. You need to obviously learn from other people and then go and do what is needed to be done. And I'll share some of that. So let's look at, first of all, coronavirus impact. This is very, very difficult time. Not just physically you are locked, but emotionally it's very different. Everyone is worried about their family. Everyone is worried about their jobs. Business is not in the mind of people at the top priority. So these are very unusual times. Bend over backwards to support your employees and customers and show empathy. Make sure just because you are also in the same situation, you cannot take it for granted that your employees, especially the young ones, don't need empathy. Your customers who may be struggling big time, they also need empathy. So bend over backwards to support your employees and customers, but show empathy. Don't take it for granted. Working from home is very, very common, right? So now, done right, remote working can boost productivity and morale. Done badly, it can breed inefficiency and can demotivate employees. I have been in touch to Cisco and some other companies where I have high-level contacts. Believe it or not, the productivity is actually higher than 100% compared to when they were in the office. And the big reason for that is that at least in Bangalore or any big city in India, you are not wasting 2 to 3 hours in commute. And people know that their companies need their help and they are working hard. They are emotionally more engaged. They are more motivated. So all of that is helping companies go to even higher than 100% productivity. Why am I mentioning that is, if you are a founder and you are not charging on all 4 cylinders, there is something wrong. Don't accept that people are working from home, so the productivity will be 70% or 50%. Not acceptable. You need to figure out the root cause and see what you can do to take productivity to the same level at least, if not higher. Now, obviously for your distributed workforce, they need the right tools. So provide them whatever they need, right? Whether it's bandwidth or VPN or Zoom for meetings or document sharing applications or Slack for project management. You need to give them the tools they need in these difficult times. Another very important thing for engineering leaders or for CEOs, have smaller cross-functional teams with clear short-term goals. So don't think that just because they are working from home, you need to work the same way that they work when you were in the office. In the office, you are interacting way too, in many, many ways, in different ways. You have too much opportunity, or most of the time you have opportunity to interact. Now you don't. You may be talking to them once or twice a day maximum, and then rest of the time they may be texting or sending emails. So for this time, it is very, very important. You can note it down and make sure your engineering leaders know that it is important to have smaller cross-functional teams and clear short-term goals for them to be productive. Don't just take whatever they were working there and now they are working from home, so operate the same way. That will not give you the productivity you are looking for. For leaders, communicate more with your employees while they are working from homes or in distributed situation. If you don't communicate or you take it for granted, employees will assume the worst due to lack of communication. They are already concerned emotionally about their family and disease and the parents and so on. Children are at home because schools are not there. So your communication is very important to uplift them and also tell them where the company is going, and make sure you are seen as leader in this difficult time as well. So communicate. You cannot over communicate. Have virtual meetings just like you had your face-to-face meetings. So my request to the leaders is that don't change your calendar at all. If you are having a weekly meeting with your leaders, keep it. If you had a all hands meeting every month, keep it. So keep these meetings just like you were when you were working, not from home or in the office. It is very important, and you can sort of keep this comment in your thoughts. The teams that know how to stay focused on executing on the product and customer priorities win in the long run when the markets turn around, and they will. So make sure your teams are focused. They have the tools they need. They are motivated by you. They are cross-functional teams with short-term goals. And then you are tracking how things are working and removing any issues that are slowing them down. If you do these things, I am very, very sure that you will see your productivity is close to 100%. And through this, you will cross the coronavirus impact. Now come to economic downturn. Now this economic downturn, you are reading everywhere, this will be a global recession. It can be 18 months, it could be 2 years. Actually, nobody knows, but it will be a serious economic downturn that we know. So my single point advice to you as a founder, as a CEO, as a CXO is forget about the history of your company. If there's one thing you learned from this talk today, just learn this. Assume you have joined your company as a CEO today. Forget about the 5 years that you have worked with them already. You have taken over as CEO of your company today. Now, what do? What does a new CEO do? You need to behave like that. Your relationships, your previous planning, your previous business plan, your previous strategies, your previous customer relationships have no meaning today. May have some meaning or not, but you need to start afresh. So literally assume that you are joining your company as a CEO today, and then take the company forward. Top priority, of course, is not to run out of cash. And with whatever cash you have, increase your runway. This is the time when you have to not play to win, but play to not lose. Big difference. Growth is less important. Survival is more important. There are no fixed costs. Renegotiate every contract that you have, and get ready for your customers to actually renegotiate whatever they have with you. So your rental agreement can be negotiated. Your Amazon or Microsoft cloud services agreement can be negotiated. Many of these will come out themselves, but I know in several cases, which you may think is impossible, where startup founders have approached their landlords and they have been very cooperative in saying that, okay, either you reduce the rent or don't pay for these 2 months, etc., etc. So there are no fixed costs now. Previously in your business plan, you said fixed cost is this. Well, there is no fixed cost now. You have to challenge every cost because you need to survive first. If salary has to be cut, it has to be across the board, and you need to walk the talk from the top. So make sure it is from the top. I also have generally a request that at the bottom of the pyramid, you don't cut the salary. Somebody who's earning 10,000 rupees per month or something, you don't have to sort of cut their salary. You have to help them out. But you may have to cut the salaries across the board. Most companies are starting to think that. If still your survival is in question, you may have to go to the next step, which is actually cutting some employees and so on. And you have to be prepared for that. That is why your yesterday's plan has no relevance today. You need to look at your cash. You need to look at your customers and pipeline and all the business and see what you need to do. But survival is the question here. Put in place lifeboat plans for 1 and 2 year downturns. I'm on a board of a Indian company where in March first week, I told them that, guys, can you give me a plan for 1 month lockdown, 2 month lockdown, and 3 month lockdown, and then 6 to 12 months of economic slowdown. People really laughed in that meeting, but I'm telling you, it's not a joke. Now, obviously, everyone is realizing the seriousness of it. So create a lifeboat plans for 1 and 2 year downturns. That will help you make the right decision for the company. This is very important point. Evaluate impact on your business, finance, fundraising, sales, marketing, headcount, capital spending, everything you question, every assumption you had made in your business plan. Remember, when you make a business plan and you do a 5-year projection or a 3-year projection, you actually make some assumptions. Those assumptions are no longer valid. So please create a new business plan and a new strategy. Now, I have been interacting with the startup CEOs in the last few weeks. I have told every one of them to go back and bring me a new business plan. Let me tell you what most people are doing. They are coming back with an old business plan with Band-Aid. That's not going to cut it. You don't need the old business plan with one thing tweaked here, one thing tweaked there. That's not going to work. You need a new business plan and then a new strategy to execute that business plan. So please do not Band-Aid your old business plan. Look at it as if you have joined the company as a CEO and you have to create this business plan. You have to execute this business plan. You have to have the right strategy to execute it. Now, when you create this business plan, you yourself will be shocked. You may be demotivated yourself because you say, what happened? But this is not a time for that. Once you have created a business plan that you believe in, recommit emotionally to your new plan. However hard it is, you have to recommit emotionally to this plan and then take it forward. The scary part is that even your product market fit, which you relied, your whole company was around that product market fit. Now that may not be viable for the next year or two. So this is very important point. Don't assume you can sell the same product. Don't assume that you can have the same roadmap for the product. No, you have to reimagine yourself and the business, and you have to replan that also. So that is why when I'm saying new business plan, plan your roadmap as well, strategy as well, go to market as well, sales as well. Everything has to be planned, and including your product. You are not going to sell the product you created yesterday just because you have it. You may have to create a new product that fits in the market that you are going to face in the next year or two. Lead from the front, be transparent. This is very important. Your trust is the last thing that you want to lose, whether it is your investors, your customers, or your employees. So this is not the time to tell them rosy stories. You should build the confidence by sharing with them the new plan that you have, sharing with the new plan you have, and share even 2 times more than you shared in the normal times. So double your frequency of all hands. If on the online, you cannot have all your employees online, do it in 2 halves, but make sure you connect to every employee and share the new plan. That will scare some people, but trust me, that is what will create the trust, and they're not going to leave you in this difficult time if you do it correctly. Number 8, use slowdown for innovation in technology, business, process, and business model, etc. Many of you who know me that I'm an ardent fan of innovation. Many of our startups, especially in deep tech technology, have focused on innovation, but not as much as they should. Because for a deep tech startup, understand that your survival and your success will depend on your IP, innovation. Well, things have slowed down now. So your engineering people may have longer time to execute on the same roadmap or the new roadmap. This is a wonderful time to pause and innovate. And again, I'm happy to answer some questions on what you do. This is not an innovation class. My other lectures can cover that, but in the most simple one sentence way of telling you what innovation is to think of an ideal solution to a problem. You are working on some problem, think of an ideal solution, not constrained, ideal solution to the problem, and then think out of the box to reach as close to this ideal solution as possible. So number one, you have a problem. Number two, you think of an ideal solution to solve that problem, which is completely unconstrained. How many people it will take, what technology it will take, nothing is important. Just what is the ideal solution to this problem? Once you have that, then challenge yourself in a new way to reach as close to that solution as possible. And that will be the best and easy way to understand innovation in 60 seconds. Re-architect your product if needed. Every startup has given and are forced to actually pay attention to speed. And you have some architecture that you actually forever wanted to change, but you never had time. Well, this may be the time. User experience. Typically, Indian companies, Indian startups are not paying as much attention to user experience as they should. And all they have to do is to learn from their competition that is in US or other places to see how their user experience lacks compared to their competition. And two reasons for lack of user experience. One, we don't have enough people in user experience, enough experts in user experience. Number two is it's less important, and Indian mindset is, oh, user experience is less important than functionality. Well, guys, this is the best time for you to improve your user experience, re-architect whatever you need to do, and innovate like hell. Now, this is a very important point. What will get you your next round of funding? Let me tell you, only exceptional companies will get funded. If your money runs out in 6 months or 12 months or 18 months, it will be very, very difficult to get funding. Both angels today can buy HDFC and Hindustan Lever at 1/3 cheaper price. Why do you think they would be interested in funding in a startup at this point? Some will not, but the funding will be in shortage. VCs are not sure at this point their own LPs will come forward with funding or not. So they will be cautious, all VCs. They all will be looking for exceptional companies. So they will not, the funding will not stop, but the funding will be only to exceptional companies. You need to understand that. Things that were not important earlier will become important. Path to profitability. Previously, the signal given to you was grow, grow, grow. Don't worry about cash burn. We have the cash, we'll raise the money. Well, now they'll be asking, how long will it take you to become profitable? Data from 2008 slowdown shows that seed rounds came back early because smaller money is involved there. But later stage funding, if you are Series B, Series C, took years to recover. This will be same. So later stage people will have huge challenge, but early stage will not have easier time either. As Your Nest, we ourselves were looking at several companies for possible funding. Now we are cutting the list to only exceptional companies. So make sure your company, when it goes for funding, is that exceptional company, and then you can define it and present your case to VCs at that time, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months down the road, whenever you need to raise money. Be a leader, inspire your teams in this difficult environment. Remember yourself, you yourself should not get demotivated, and you need to think that no winter lasts forever. This is the time for you to show leadership. Actually, leaders are made in difficult times, not in good times. So this is the time. So these are the 10 commandments that I wanted to share with you. They look simple, guys, but hopefully you have been thinking about implementing these as I have been talking, and you will see the challenge in executing some of that. Some more, I'm assuming some questions from you, so I'm going to answer some of those questions right away so that your question gets answered. You may be asking which industries will grow in these difficult times. Or if you are a potential entrepreneur who's thinking of starting a company, well, let me tell you, edtech with online, health tech with online, fintech, new kind of payments, or anything that improves fintech efficiency in online. Anything online, literally, collaboration tools, security, especially in distributed environment, online entertainment. I can go on and on and on. So you need to figure out what industry you want to do your new startup on, or if you already have a startup that is there, can you focus your products on the industries that are going to grow? Government, great example. Government generally don't change budgets right away. Hospitals don't change the budgets right away. Educational institution, the government ones at least, will not change the budget right away. So figure out your sweet spots and see which areas you need to focus on. Now, also focus on must-have product rather than a wish type product. Very big difference here. What will people need? Are you creating shovels for this difficult time, or you are creating something that is a wish? So question that about your product value proposition and make sure you are more towards the strong product side, which is needed, not a wish. Like I said, seek new opportunities in this environment. Take for example, your proposition to a customer in US. You are a SaaS company, and I have funded a SaaS company that is using this very well. 30% saving against a US player, established player, was not important to these US companies 1 month back. They said, it's okay, I understand you have a solution, I understand that it is same features and all that, but I'm not really interested in saving 30% of the cost at this point. Well, now they will pay attention to that 30% cost. So seek new value proposition, highlight it in a way that your customer's pain point can be removed, and new pain point removal things have to be highlighted in your pitch. Now, you may have to focus on geographies where you use less resources and give quicker returns. We don't know when international flights will start. We don't know when other countries will come back. US is in tailspin, as most of you will know. So even your assumption for geography in your previous business plan has no relevance now. So for example, to a SaaS company, we have decided that we will focus on Indian customers in this time, because India's flights and all will start earlier, and we'll focus on this, which was not part of our plan earlier. We were focusing 100% or 90% on US. Well, it's almost reversed for the at least next 6 weeks or 8 weeks. Then we'll reevaluate. So don't take any assumption for granted that you had in your previous business plan. Your competitive landscape may change. Some of the smaller startups that you were competing with and you were showing me as their competition globally may die. So you need to be aware of that. You need to make sure you don't die, of course, but smaller companies will die. Bigger companies will become more strong. But when they become more strong, a lot of customers will reach out to them if their product is in demand. They will not be able to service that. That is an opportunity for a startup. So take these, be very entrepreneurial in your approach to identifying new opportunities and using them to your advantage. And once again, to sort of emphasize it even more, fundraising will become more difficult, valuations will drop. So plan your fundraise appropriately. I'm happy to answer specific questions on this later, but this is for, if you are a CEO and you are running out of money in the next 6, 12, 18 months, this should be very, very high on your priority list to figure out what will you do at that time. This is also a great time, guys, to sharpen your axe. The online course you wanted to do forever, but you were never able to do, well, this is the time. You can do those things. Like Nabal said, when fishermen cannot go to sea, they repair their nets. This is a great time to repair your nets. Another very important point, many of you who have seen my talks before see that I am a big fan of mentor. For every person, there has to be a mentor, ideally who has been there and done that. At any age, believe it or not, I have mentors for myself even now. Both my children have mentors. So mentor, I cannot emphasize it enough. You have to have mentor, and even more in this time, who has been there, done that. And a mentor is not there to support you and to say yes, yes to whatever you have to say. A mentor is supposed to say what he or she believes in, which you may or may not like. This is the important point between a friend and a friendly mentor versus a mentor who can actually show you the mirror. You need those kind of mentors at this point. Silver linings, it should not be all depressing. We know this will pass. Once you and your company makes it through, you and the company will be much stronger, ready to take on the new world. Very, very important point. Such times also provide opportunity. You can historically look at Airbnb, Square, Stripe, all these were launched during global financial crisis. And they are doing so well now. So all the news is not negative. And if you are thinking of doing a startup, this is not the time to drop that plan. This is the time to sharpen your value proposition and go after it. So now, in summary, you are the new CEO of your company, appointed today. Take it from here. Reimagine your business and make it happen. You have no choice. Let's open it for question and answers. I'm happy to answer questions. So Salma, you can take control and open it when an